Well, there's no question that television, and particularly commercial television as we know it, is legitimately criticized for the quality of its content, for its impact on society and whatever. My take about television is to see television as a metaphor for the human heart and for the emotional quality of the heart. And at its best, when our hearts are open, we are in a place of deep compassion and understanding of others. We see the other as a reflection of ourselves. And at its best, television has brought to the world the opportunity for everyone to see the other as part of themselves, starting from Edward R. Murrow and See It Now, and tying the globe together with the first broadcasts all the way through the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement, the whole Gaia consciousness, ecological movement of seeing the other beings around us and other cultures and other societies, other animals for that matter. I argue is part of the positive side of television, the compassionate side of television. Now, just as the heart has a positive side and we try to cultivate a compassionate heart, we can also talk about the shadow side of the heart. And it's hard, to think about the heart having a shadow, but if we think about the metaphors of codependence, or where the heart is someone whose heart is always stimulated and is bleeding all the time onto others, you say that's a person who has no boundaries of their heart. They're emotionally needy, and they get off on other people's pain or other people's suffering or other people's love, but they can never seem to find their own center. We could say, well, most of television programming is a way of connecting to that broken heart, that codependent heart, the heart that needs stimulation every second because it's terrified of being alone with its own emotions and its own feelings. So we use television, Marie Wynn called it the plug-in drug, to feed that part of the heart, that part of the heart that's so hungry and so much afraid of really opening in compassion to others. Now that's if we talk about the heart, the shadow side of the heart, I talked earlier about the heart being so open that it has no boundaries and connected it with codependence. The other side, of course, is where the heart closes up, becomes tight and hard, and people without sympathy, people who take cynicism and sort of a deconstructionist view of the world that has no meaning. I don't care about your pain or suffering. I just blow it off. Well, obviously that's a symptom of a heart that's been hardened from pain and doesn't want to feel. And of course we can say that television also helps create that with some of the programming that people are most offended by, some of the real cynical reality TV of humiliating others and laughing at it. And so television touches, as I say, at its best, compassion, at its worst, the two extremes of codependence and emotional stuffing, and the other extreme of a cynical, hard place.
Okay, let's pause tape for a second.
My feeling about television is that it's inherent as a medium of wanting to create a connection with the other. And so commercial television, television that wants to sell products, has got to create a very safe world around it. And there was a wonderful article by a critic who talked about television creates, at least American commercial television, those happy black and white families sharing a barbecue together as if that's the reality of America. And we know that racism in America is, people don't socialize the way they do in the beer commercials where everybody's giving each other a high five. So television creates a world where discord is suppressed in favor of consumption. So in its core direct focus, it has the potential for connecting us, as I say, with the other in a relationship that's heart to heart, that's love to love. But in a commercial marketplace, mass television has discovered that people will not consume products if they are asked to think about the 80% of the world that is worse off than they are. If they're asked to really compassionately think about the impact of American imperialism on third world countries, if they're asked to really think about ecological crisis. How do you sell people bigger washing machines? So the medium has to create a very safe place for people to be emotionally triggered, but not to leave the safety of the backyard so that they're ready to hit the barbecue and buy more products.
Yeah.
Many people are, of course, upset with the power of television, and they see all of its negative impact, and their campaigns to change the laws, move television to be more responsive to the view that they have, political views, social views, or whatever, teaching television by restriction to cover certain programs. Or if we could only talk to the producers, they really want to do better television, but we have to change the laws. And I think that's a fine approach, that it's important for consumers to question what they're receiving and saying, we know television's capable of more. We know from the great moments in television that this is a medium that can teach us about love and compassion and the global family. We've seen it at its best. We want more of that. And that can come from political action. But I take a position that television is inherently got this conflict between wanting to connect us to the other and wanting to help us deal with the pain that actually being connected to the other brings most people, which is, oh my God, that hurts. And I am privileged. I'm in a wealthy, powerful country. I receive all these things. Do I really want to look deeply in the eyes of somebody who's not getting enough food, partly because of American agricultural policy, for example, or for global economic reasons? Well, that doesn't make good television. So we have this inherent tension. I think it's important that people pressure broadcast television to change. But I also think that while one can pressure television through the laws, there's a grassroots parallel movement happening around the world where the tools of television are being put in the hands of real people in real communities, young people, political activists, NGOs in third world countries all over the world, who are creating television that goes right to the heart. And that television is not showing up on broadcast mainstream media, but is more and more available on the web, is more and more available on alternative distribution media such as DVDs and the like. And I predict we're going to see more and more of this other face of television becoming available to us through non-broadcast means. That as the lumbering dinosaurs of broadcast television struggle to be commercially successful, there's this whole other medium, internet-based television, downloadable television, that isn't just about everybody doing their own personal karaoke on YouTube, but is actually going to be around the people whose hearts are in what they're taping and want to connect to us on a one-to-one basis. And I'm actually encouraged by that. Commercial television has got a real dilemma. The nature of the medium is it wants us to connect compassionately to other people. But if it succeeded in doing that, consumerism would die. So it has to create a false connection, a false community, a false compassion, a safe one, where everybody is happy because they're all sharing the same beer or drinking the same soda or eating the same hot dogs. You know, many people are eager to reform television, and they are organizing protests and letter-writing campaigns. And I think that that can work up to a point. But I also believe that television, by its very nature, is connected to the heart and is connected to people's own shadow and own desire to fill their heart with distraction from really experiencing the joy and the pain of human existence. Change it. But I think the real radical action is not about letter-writing campaigns to fix broadcasting, but how we can encourage community organizations, others who are now experimenting with citizen journalism, civic journalism, to capture and show us the world outside of our safe boundaries by creating their own videos, putting them on the web, making them available for us to see, and reconnecting the best of what television can do, which is to help us see the other as someone just like ourselves.
Okay, can we do that one?
I believe that television is a medium that's directly aligned with the heart. And at its best, it teaches us to love. And its worst, of course, it's the soap opera of false love of products, of love of consumption. But it does have at its essence the fact that it teaches us to see the other as a reflection of ourselves.